For critics
Afternoon.
calling this government overreach, what do you say?
Good afternoon, Holly. We think these are quite reasonable steps that governments should take in order to keep Australians safe from firearm violence. We saw the worst possible example just before Christmas at Bondi, and we saw the New South Wales government make some rapid response. The Commonwealth has fewer levers to pull when it comes to firearm laws, but what they have done is facilitated a framework for a gun buyback of prohibited and unwanted weapons. They've strengthened the ability for states and territories to do background checks on people when they're applying for a firearm licence or a firearm, and that's greater connections with ASIO and the ACIC, and they're making stricter importation of firearms as well. So they're the sort of levers that the federal government can activate, and they're hopefully doing that next week.
Stephen, the attack in Bondi, though, was notably different to Port Arthur. Bondi was motivated by religion, Islamic extremism. Many say that it's not how the alleged offenders killed, but why, and say that it's people like your farmers and people who need guns and firearms for legitimate reasons that will be disadvantaged by this. What's your response to that?
Well, the Prime Minister, I think, has put it best when he said that the perpetrators certainly had a religious motivation, but our firearm laws enable them to have the method as well. And so I think the Australian public expect everything to be done to manage firearms in Australia. And I understand the firearm industry is jumping up and down about it. But firearm use in Australia is universally acknowledged as being a privilege that is entirely conditional on public safety. And the reforms that Premier Minns introduced before Christmas, the reforms in this omnibus bill going to Parliament next week, none of that prevents a sporting shooter, a farmer, a primary producer or a hunter being able to pursue their hobby or their job. It might mean that there are stronger background checks. It might mean that the type of firearms used at Bondi are more restricted. It might mean that someone can't have 6 or indeed 200 firearms stored at home in a suburban street. And they are just some of the things that the Australian public expect to happen. I think many of them are surprised those things aren't already in place.
I mean, a point that the Foundation has also really picked up on is gun technology has changed a lot since Port Arthur. And it's really highlighting here that our laws are simply lagging behind when it comes to modern weapons and loopholes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reforms in 1996 were a landmark in firearm safety reform in Australia and indeed the world. And they have served us very well. But the laws in 1996 didn't anticipate the sort of firearms that there are today, the number of firearms stored in suburban streets, the access to very high-powered, rapid-fire type of firearms, and all we are expecting now is for changes to be made to that safety framework so that we can continue a really proud culture of gun safety in Australia.
Yeah, it's going to be complex, and the debate, of course, continues to get this balance right. Stephen, just before we let you go, I mean, it's going to be the 30-year anniversary of the Port Arthur massacre. Of course, you're part of a foundation where there were victims of that horrible massacre. I'm Tasmanian. I just wanted you to describe the community feeling 30 years on, if you can, quickly for us before we wrap this up.
One of the things I was asked to comment on is about Bondi and the surviving families, the first responders, anybody witnessing it, anybody who knows somebody who knows somebody. We hear those stories about Port Arthur, and that trauma will be with people forever. It is with people associated with the foundation. It is with people who, like yourself, have a connection to that trauma, and it'll never be forgotten. And the very least we can do is prevent it from happening again.
Stephen Bendle, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Holly.